Coming up tonight on the news at 10, a big weekend for Bozeman as Montana State closes out the spring semester and prepares to graduate more than 2,000 students. We have complete coverage. Plus, a mountain lion is spotted near a popular trail in Butte. And one northwest Montana county sees a spike in dangerous drugs.
This is KTVM 6, your first alert station. You're watching the news at 10.
Beautiful warm weather throughout the Gallatin Valley today, but our first alert weather team has been tracking the return of cooler, wetter weather. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Grace Ditzler. Lauren Mashmit has the night off. Rain won't wash out graduation ceremonies indoors, but it could put a damper on any outdoor celebrations. Chief Meteorologist Mark Haka has yellow up on the severe weather tracker. Mark, what's on tap for the weekend? Thank you, Mark. The weather won't slow down the festivities as Montana State University says goodbye to spring semester 2014. We have complete coverage tonight of graduation weekend. First, we'll take you to the dorms where students are packing up for summer break. Businesses that rely on campus tell us how they adjust after students head home. And we'll tell you just how many students are expected to receive degrees at MSU's 120th commencement. Even though graduation isn't until tomorrow, some students are wasting no time moving out of their dorms. Cars, trucks, and moving vans lined the streets outside of Montana State University's residence halls. Students went up and down stairs and sidewalks packing their belongings, trying to get everything put away in the 30-minute limit they had to park vehicles in the loading zones. One outgoing MSU student we spoke to described the day as chaotic. Students leaving campus for the summer can be a big adjustment for Bozeman businesses. NBC Montana's Colin Cashin spoke with grocery stores and restaurants to learn what the drop in customers means to them. Town and Country Foods says business drops off much more sharply, about 20%, during spring and winter breaks when the university shuts down completely. At Montana State University's Brick Breeden Fieldhouse, workers were doing last-minute checks ahead of graduation ceremonies. When we were there this morning, workers had already laid out the stage and seating and were busy testing the lights and sound system. Some 2,000 people will receive degrees. University spokesperson Tracy Ellig tells me this is one of the most important times of the year on campus. Here is a breakdown of graduation ceremonies at Montana State University. The first ceremony will celebrate students from arts and architecture, education and health and human development, nursing, and Gallatin College. The processional begins at 8:40 a.m. The ceremony starts at 9. Afternoon ceremonies celebrate students from agriculture, business, letters and science, and engineering. The processional begins at 1:10 and the ceremony starts at 1:30. Both ceremonies are in the Brick Breeden Fieldhouse. We'll have complete coverage of graduation Saturday on the news at 5. Students at the University of Montana in Missoula are set to graduate in 2 weeks. New information tonight after NBC Montana learns a defense team for a man who shot and killed a German exchange student is doing their own investigation. The defense team is staying tight-lipped on what exactly they are looking into when it comes to the Deeren Dede shooting. Marcus Karma shot Dede Sunday while the teen allegedly trespassed in a garage. It's also important to note that county prosecutors are still working the case as they prepare to file the charge in district court. Some of Karma's neighbors told us they've felt uneasy since Karma got out Monday on $30,000 bail. Karma claims he feared for his life when Dede entered the garage. As part of his conditions of release, Acting Justice of the Peace Suzanne Geer required that all of Karma's weapons be turned in before he was released from jail. But neighbors say they're still concerned. Missoula police say 5 guns were dropped off Monday to be stored at the police station. We did some digging into Marcus Karma's background. We learned the home he lives in is owned by a relative. Chong Oak Karma bought the house just last year. Newspaper articles tell us he grew up in the affluent Mercer Island area of Seattle, Washington. He graduated from Mercer Island High School, where he excelled in sports, including football, track, and most notably swimming. In fact, Karma earned All-American status after winning Seattle's 3A title in the 50 freestyle. The shooter, Marcus Karma, is expected to use Montana's Castle Doctrine as a defense. The law allows residents to use lethal force if they feel threatened in their home. But the shooting has some state legislators calling for a change. We want to know what you think. Should lawmakers consider changes to the law that allows Montanans to use lethal force if they feel threatened in their own home? Log on to NBCMontana.com to vote. We'll tell you the results next week. A woman found guilty of misdemeanor assault with a weapon is suing Bozeman, the police department, County Attorney Marty Lambert, and others connected to the investigation and prosecution of her case. At trial, prosecutors said Mary Ann McCulley was in a mediation hearing for another case when she slammed documents on the table and pulled out a pistol. In federal court papers filed last week, McCulley claims officials investigating her case gave false information to press and concealed witness interviews critical to her defense. McCulley is claiming negligence, libel, slander, and malice. She is seeking damages and legal fees, sanctions against the police and county attorney's office, and a public apology. New information tonight as officials in the Flathead tell us they're seeing an increase in heroin and meth use. Overall, we're told drug arrests are up slightly in northwest Montana, but the amount of meth and heroin seized is way up. Flathead County Sheriff Chuck Curry says most drugs go through trends and cycles, and it seems that heroin and meth are a big problem, not just in the valley, but nationwide. According to the most recent survey done by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 470,000 people in the United States report they are heroin dependent. That number has doubled over the last 12 years. A high-flying airplane passenger has been grounded, and we're wondering why she thought this would be a good idea. Before leaving Oakland International Airport on a flight to Jackson, Mississippi, a 26-year-old woman filled her bags with 81 pounds of marijuana and then checked the baggage. TSA agents discovered the pot as they were loading bags on the airplane. The passenger was arrested by Alameda County Sheriff deputies, and the marijuana was seized. Coming up after the break, NBC Montana sits down with Senator John Walsh to talk about his concerns about the economy. Plus, Chief Meteorologist Mark Haka is tracking a weekend storm that could put a damper on your weekend barbecue. All the details in the full forecast right after the break. Thanks, Mark. A jobs report out today shows unemployment dropped from 6.7 to 6.3%. A 5.5-year low. After a brutal winter that seemed to put the brakes on the economy, today's report is evidence business came roaring back. The government says employers added 288,000 jobs in April, more than at any time in 2 years. President Obama hails the growth, but says Congress must still do more to help American workers, including raising the minimum wage and creating more construction jobs by approving public works projects. But while employers did more hiring, a dramatic 806,000 people just stopped looking for work. Less than 63% of working age adults are now in the workforce, a 35-year low. Democratic Senator John Walsh is concerned about Montana's middle-class families falling behind in the current economy. Today, the appointed senator, filling Max Baucus's former seat, stopped by NBC Montana. He did not comment on the current fatal shooting investigation of a foreign exchange student, but did say he supports Montana's castle law in general. On the budget, Walsh outlined a bill he is introducing to cut federal contract spending, noting that it has increased $2 trillion since 2002. He also supports increasing the minimum wage. Senator Walsh also said that he will give strong support to veterans. Butte-Silver-Bow's clerk and recorders need election judges for the primary election. Election judges must go to one of 2 training sessions held, and judges are paid for their time at the session. Training sessions will be held at the Butte Courthouse and generally take less than 2 hours. All interested in becoming a judge should contact the clerk and recorder's office. Coming up, we check into reports a mountain lion might be stalking around a popular Butte trail. Plus, we'll show you a bike designed by Evel Knievel himself and tell you how you can win it. Welcome back. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks officials tell NBC Montana that a hiker spotted a mountain lion on a popular trail outside of Butte. The big cat was seen here at the Mods Canyon Trail, also known as the East Ridge Trail, on Tuesday. The trail is located off Saddle Rock Road. NBC Montana's Jacqueline Gideon spoke with Montana FWP to find out just how much of a threat this lion could be to hikers.
Fish, Wildlife, and Park officials tell me a hiker spotted a mountain lion about a quarter of a mile up this trail earlier this week. Officials say it's common for the big cats to be near the city around this time of year, but soon they'll be moving on to higher elevations.
On places like the East Ridge and the Modest Trail, it's prime habitat for deer, for moose.
Wildlife biologist Vanna Bocadori tells me mountain lions primarily follow their prey.
Deer are kind of moving up higher elevations, so hopefully the lions will follow.
Bocadori says the most important thing is to be alert when hiking in mountain lion habitat.
Being aware when you're up there recreating, I wouldn't not go up there because of that. I would just be smart about it.
And Butte hiker Scott Wheeler plans on doing just that, and more. Wheeler shows me his can of pepper spray he usually carries with him to protect him from wildlife.
It is kind of scary because they are predators, so I started bringing pepper spray.
Wheeler says especially in the Modest Canyon area, he keeps an eye out for big cats and other predators.
I think they see you, you don't see them. You know, they can stalk you, so I definitely do watch for them.
And then there's Colton Schnell, who tells me he hikes Modest frequently, but isn't concerned about the mountain lion.
I'm not very worried about them, but I'm very conscious that, there's definitely some up here.
Bocadori tells me if hikers like Wheeler and Schnell do come across the path of a big cat, to make themselves look big.
Put your hands over your head, stretch up tall, wave your arms, shout, yell, clap your hands, anything. Just make yourself seem like a bigger predator than they are.
Reporting in Butte, Jacqueline Gideon, NBC Montana.
Fish, Wildlife, and Parks says if you know a mountain lion is in the area, keep your children and pets close. Do not run if you encounter a lion. Back away slowly and keep your eyes on the cat. A federal judge ruled against conservationists suing to force the government to protect white bark pine trees. The white barked pine is a high elevation tree. Its nuts are a source of food for threatened grizzly bears. In 2011, the government found the tree warranted protection, but other priorities kept it from being listed as threatened. U.S. District Judge Dana Christensen found designation leaves some species in limbo, but it's up to Congress to find the money to pay for the protection. A state judge says a lawsuit over protections for eagles and other birds living next to a wind farm near the Canada border should be heard in Montana. San Diego Gas and Electric has accused the developer of the 126-turbine Rimrock wind farm of hiding the risks the project poses to birds. Spain-based wind power developer Nature says SDG&E simply wants out of their contract. The two sides have filed dueling lawsuits with SDG&E trying to have the matter heard in California court. Montana District Judge Brenda Gilbert ruled on April 25th that the suit should be heard in Montana because of Rimrock's economic importance to Glacier and Toole counties. The new Evel Knievel Days Committee will raffle off an Evel Knievel custom motorcycle this year. The Evel Knievel Days Committee says this bike is one of 500 that Evel himself helped design. It features a USA color scheme and an Evel Knievel logo. The motorcycle will be raffled off at the finale of Evel Knievel Days. Raffle tickets are being sold at Headframe Spirits, Greenfield Printers, Gamers Cafe, and Redline Sports. And Kane O'Neill joins me now for sports. So Kane, the first Grizzly softball signee is from Deer Lodge.
That's right. Lady Warden is the first in-state player ever to sign with the Grizz softball team. We caught up with her this week. That story is coming up next.
Residents in China's Guizhou province were looking at the sky this morning. People were gathered for a local festival when a solar halo appeared above them. The phenomenon is created by sunlight passing through ice crystals in the air. People got out their cameras to record the moment. A good time to remind viewers, you should remember never look directly at the sun or you could damage your vision. You know, that's a good tip, I think, for us after we've been having all this sunshine.
That's right. I was shooting softball yesterday and I started losing the sun, so yes, be very careful.
All right, thanks for watching the news at 10. Have a wonderful night.